And welcome back. Welcome back. You know, oh man. In this episode of New Year, New You, I am delving into a topic that's all too familiar to many of us, getting back on track with the management of your diabetes. Have you been there? Yeah, I know I have been. And the year has been going along and we've just been trucking along, right? So this is the month of May. We're starting the month of May. Can you believe it? And a lot of people at the beginning of the year, at the end of last year, said there were so many things that they were going to do, they were going to put in place. And we have our good days where everything seems to fall right into place. And then inevitably, there are those challenging moments when, yeah, we may find ourselves, veering off course. Whether it's due to stress, challenges in the routine, or just life throwing us a curveball, setbacks happen to the best of us. But the important thing is how we respond to those setbacks and ultimately how we get ourselves back on track. And that's what I'm talking about tonight. So if you've ever found yourself in that struggle to stay on the top of the management of your diabetes, this episode is for you. Stick around because we've got plenty of valuable insights and tips coming up your way. Let's dive right in. Hey, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health, your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, y'all, new year, new you. I'm talking to adults with type 2 diabetes who want to put their diabetes in remission, who are interested in getting off of diabetes medication, who are interested in improving their metabolic disease, who are interested in reversing their diabetes. Welcome. If you're new to me as well, go ahead and put new in the chat because I'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music. And to let you know that we're excited that you are in the space. If you have questions as we go throughout the night, put those in because I want to make sure that I answer all of those for you as we get into the show tonight. Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back. It has been an interesting weekend, an interesting several months as we have dived into New Year, New You. And that's right, we're reversing diabetes. And so we're going to talk here in a little bit about what we do, but you guys know how we do. I got my meter over here so you can see what my blood sugar, if that will pop up here in just a minute, hopefully. Let's see what we can do. So we got a meter over here so that blood sugar, so you can see what those blood sugars are. You will be able to see what my monitor is showing, my reports, and we can take a look to see what's been happening. If I can get that to pop up here in just a sec. Okay, yeah. All right, well, let's take a look at this one. So this is where you will see my... Yeah, so there you go. Okay, so we'll take a look at that here in just a little while as we get into the show. If you're out there, we thank you for joining us tonight on this episode of our show. So getting back on track, y'all. What do we do? How do we do that? That's what we're going to be talking about. So let's hop over and let's take a look, right? So you guys saw the flyer, getting back on track. You see down there at the bottom that hamburger and those fries. Well, let me tell you a story. I want to tell you a story. So yesterday, I think I shared with you guys that the last several Sundays, my wife and I, we've been going out to dinner. And so yesterday, y'all, we were in the car, and of course I said, hey, where do you want to go? And so we weren't sure. Because there were some particular things that we wanted to have. And so we're driving, and my wife says, hey, let's go to this place. And I said, sure. And in my head, I had created, because I had not eaten all day, I had waited because I was going to eat dinner with my wife. I was going to have some food, right? And so I had created this entire experience in my head about what it's going to be like, how the food was going to taste. I wasn't sure where we were going, but once she said where we're going, everything kind of filled in, right? All the little details filled in my mind. So I'm in the car and we're driving, And I'm just anticipating, I'm going to have this, I'm going to have that, I'm going to order this, and so forth, right? And so we're on our way there, and she says, well, what about this other place, right? And I didn't say anything. And we kind of drove, and so she's looking at the menu, and we kind of finally decided, okay, we're going to this place. And I got there, y'all, and I was in a not so great mood, right? So in my head, right, because I'm thinking, man, okay. And I had asked, specifically, did they have this one thing? And they said, and yeah, according to the menu, they had it. But we got there, and it turned out that I couldn't have that because of an allergy. And so my mood kind of changed. Right, it took me a little bit to get over it, right? So I ate the food, and it was okay. It was okay. But what had happened was I had created this entire experience in my mind. And often that's where we find ourselves when it comes to diabetes, with diabetes management. And so as you got into this year, as you started doing the things that we've been talking about, you've been at the grind. And, January was great. And February, yeah, we got this. And March, yeah, we're in there, and we're feeling it, but not so much. And then April comes along, and things happen. And then here it is, May, right? So we are 5 months into the year. And you may find yourselves not really hitting it as hard, or maybe some of the things that you were doing before have kind of crept back in, or maybe you have really just put it back on the shelf. And so this tonight is what we're talking about, right? How do we deal with that, and what do we do in terms of getting back on track? So the first thing is to talk about why people get off track in the first place, right? So common reasons for setbacks. Why do we, after we've made a decision that we were going to do something, how do we get to the point where we're not on track? And one of those reasons is that we have a change in routine. You have a change in routine. You're used to getting up at a particular time, and you've been doing that, but somehow, for some reason, right, whether a schedule change or someone in the family is sick, or there's a new meeting at work, or something happened, life can be unpredictable. And so as a result of that change, because you had gotten into that groove, right? You got up at a particular time, you did your thing, you had your breakfast, or you had whatever it was, and you were kind of hitting that, you hit your stride. And that took you some time from the time December came and January came, and it took you some time from January to get into the stride. And so you got into it maybe mid-January, end of January, beginning of February, and now you're hitting it. And then all of a sudden something happens and it changes the routine. It wasn't anything bad. It was just a part of life. It was just a routine thing that happened. And so your routine changed. And so now you're kind of off center, right? It's not flowing like it used to flow. And so your brain has gotten to the point where it says, okay, yeah, we'll figure this out. Notice what happened. It wasn't that you made a conscious decision not to do it. It was in the midst of the confusion and the change in routine that the brain said, okay, we're going to leave that alone. Because remember, the brain, your mind, does not ever want to be wrong. It does not like confusion. The confused mind does not accept things. It's kind of like when you go to the store, right? When you go to the store to buy something, when they have a sale, they don't want you to be confused. They're very clear about what the specifics are about that thing. A lot of people say they try to confuse you. No, they don't really want you to be confused, because a confused mind doesn't buy. And the same thing here, when your mind is confused, when it's not quite sure how this fits into the routine, it will leave it alone. Okay? So number one, because of changes in routine. Number two, because of stress. And stress, y'all, is the silent saboteur. Oh yeah. I can't tell you the number of people who come to the office who are doing things and they don't realize they're doing it. And we kind of try to back into the reasons, and it turned out that there was some stressful event that happened. There was a death in the family. There was a flood at the house. So now they're living in a hotel room, right? So that's another unpredictable thing. That's a change in routine. There was some issue that happened with a child or a parent or a spouse. Some stressful event. Someone got sick. And as a result of that, things change. You once again didn't make a conscious effort or conscious decision that you weren't going to do that, but because things changed, that got put on the back burner. In fact, oh yeah, we're going to get back to that. We're planning to get back to it, but right now we're dealing with the stress. So there could be a change in routine. There could be some life stressor that happens. And then of course, a big one is burnout. Burnout. It's only natural to feel overwhelmed. Now, I'll tell you that when I talk to patients, as I hear them talk about burnout, I begin imagining those feelings. In fact, I have people who come to the office sometimes and they hear our conversation through a certain megaphone, right? They see it through a certain lens. And that lens is the lens of being at this. They've been at the grind. And they're just tired. Right? We've talked about a lot of things here on the show. We've talked about a lot of procedures that we want you to do. We've given you a lot of education. Remember, educate, empower, encourage. A lot of education. And it's been a lot of material. And so once that comes in and you begin incorporating that into your life, right? So you are trying to minimize your insulin. You're trying to suppress the appetite. Remember the 3 pillars? And you're trying to get rid of sugar. Those are our 3 pillars. 1, minimize insulin. 2, suppress appetite. 3, get rid of sugar. Those are the pillars for reversing diabetes. And you've been doing that. And day in and day out, and day in and day out, and you've got to make decisions. And sometimes that becomes a little, it produces some fatigue. And that's certainly natural. Anything that you're doing, if you're at a job, if you're building a house, if you're raising a child, there are going to be times, if you're taking care of a parent, there are going to be times when you've got to step away for a moment and kind of regroup. And if you don't understand that, then that can cause a problem, right? So common reasons for setbacks: changes in routine, stresses in life, and then of course, burnout, okay? If you have ever experienced any one of those that changed your life, changed your situation, caused you to have a setback, put yes in the comments, right? Put yes in the comments. Now, one of the interesting thing to note, right? As we're talking, as we're going through this process, we're here talking specifically about diabetes. But notice that the things that I just mentioned, in any area of your life, these can have an effect. So whether you're in college, you're in graduate school, you just got to a new job, you're trying to move your way up in a company, you're trying to save money, you want to buy a house, a car, you want to raise a child, any of those situations, any life circumstances, the same things can affect you and can cause setbacks. So as we're talking here specifically about diabetes, remember, you can apply these concepts to many areas of your life. If you have high blood pressure, yeah, and you've been kind of thinking about the food that you're going to eat. Remember, we said that the things that we do here on the channel, the concept we're teaching, doesn't just help with diabetes, but it also helps with all those metabolic syndromes, or not syndromes, but all of those diseases that fall into the metabolic phase. Oh yeah. high blood pressure, high cholesterol, hyperlipidemia, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. All of those are places where if you're at it and you're going at it and you're doing, and you could be doing a great job, y'all. So this is not just people who are having difficulty. These are people who are having successes. Yeah? Yep. All right. So those are the common reasons for setbacks. Well, after we've kind of identified those common reasons for setbacks, what else do we want to look at? How do we overcome setbacks? And we overcome setbacks in several ways, and you'll see some of those there on the screen. Number one, you want to remember that setbacks are a natural part of the journey, including the journey of managing diabetes. Yeah. Let me say that. Right. So setbacks are a natural part of the journey for everything. And specifically now, as we talk about diabetes, setbacks are a part of diabetes. Often, we don't plan for setbacks. We think we get into the situation, we get into the management of diabetes, we get into the relationship, get into the building of the house, get into the coursework for the program that we're in, the degree, and we don't anticipate that, hey, something may happen. And if you don't, then that can throw a huge wrench in the plan, because then it becomes this momentous, almost insurmountable thing that you've got to overcome. But you got to remember that setbacks, issues will come up. They are a natural part of the process. And that's the first thing you want to do. You want to remember that that is the case, right? Number two, when setbacks happen, you want to identify the root cause of the problem. What was it that caused the problem? Was it the fact that my routine changed? Was it the fact that there was a stressor in my life? Was it the fact that I got burnt out? Was it the fact that I didn't have a community around me? Right, and we'll talk about community here in a minute. But you want to identify the root cause, because if you don't identify the root cause, you may be trying to fix one thing and it's something totally different. Right? As we talk about fasting here on the show, right? That's one of the things that we've been using. And I'll have people say to me, well, fasting doesn't work. I said, well, okay, tell me why do you think it doesn't work? He says, well, when I tried to fast, I got a headache. And so as we talk more about the headache, it turns out that the headache came because your body was so used to having high sugars that when your sugar became normal, then the headache came. Make sense? So the root cause of that was not fasting. The root cause of it was the elevated blood sugar. So if we can fix the elevated blood sugar, get you used to being in a normal range, then guess what? Not a problem for the headache. Right? So identify the root cause. What is the root cause of the problem? And then next, ask for help. Oh yeah, ask for help. Right? So reach out. Remember, you're not in this by yourself. Once again, I'm plugging that community, right? You are not in this by yourself. So ask for help. There are people around you. There are people that are surrounding you that are having similar issues. They may not have diabetes, but they are having setbacks in their own space. So ask for help, or find a group, find a place, find a community that's doing what you're doing, that is heading in the direction in terms of health that you want to head, and ask for assistance. That's why I encourage you always to come on the show, right? Let us know how you're doing. Join us in our community meetup, and we'll talk a little bit about that here before we get off the show tonight. Because when you are in that space, then you begin to understand and begin to feel that there is a place, there is hope for you. So overcoming setbacks, how do you do that? Remember that setbacks will happen. Identify the root cause of it. Ask for help. Reframe next. Reframe setbacks as learning opportunities. Oh, yeah. We need to put a pin right here and talk a little bit about this. Reframe setbacks as learning opportunities. Setbacks, every setback that you have has a place or something that you could learn from it. Mm-hmm. And if you only see setbacks as problems, then they become insurmountable. They become this huge mountain. But the question to ask yourself is, okay, this thing happened. What do I learn from it? What is a nugget that I can take away from this? Right? In terms of fasting, for example, maybe the nugget that you take away from it is, hey, I need to make sure that I'm hydrated when I get into a fasting phase. Or if you had hypoglycemia, a low blood sugar, while you started fasting, hey, maybe I need to pay more attention to my monitor, my glucose monitor, right? So I could see when those numbers are coming. Hey, maybe I need to have a conversation with my doctor or my healthcare provider so that we can talk about how to adjust my medication. Right? So what am I learning? Hey, I need to drink more water. I need to get more sleep. I need to not plan that stressful event during the fasting. Hey, I need to plan so that I can be on the show with Dr. Woode at 7 o'clock Central on Mondays. Right? So see them as learning opportunities and then figure out, okay, what am I learning from this particular piece of, from this particular phase of setbacks, right? See them, reframe them as learning opportunities. And then practice self-compassion. Last week, as I was leaving to go out of town, I did one of my check-ins, and I said, hey, I'm going out of town. If you're going out of town, you're going to have stressful events that happen, and practice self-compassion. Make sure that you realize that this process that we're on is a process, and it takes time. People come in. I talked to somebody today who came into the office who was having some low blood sugars. They had fasted, and they are successfully, by the way, let me give a hand clap and a shout out. Right? So they had been fasting for 24 hours. And wasn't quite sure how to get to 36. So I said, well, why get to 36? How about 25 hours? Right, start slow. You're already at 25. Okay, now let's extend that. Practice self-compassion. If you have to interrupt a fast, that doesn't mean that you failed. If you have to go back on some medication because your blood sugars rose after you've been off of medication, that doesn't mean you're a failure. If you eat that cookie, if you drink that soda, if you didn't go to sleep like you were supposed to, if you succumb to one of those triggers, right? Remember heat, habits, emotions, access, and taste? If that happens, that doesn't mean that you're a failure. What do I learn from it? And then allow yourself the grace to now step back on the road. Okay? So overcoming setbacks. And one of the things that we got to do is when we're talking about setbacks, we got to make sure that we are, right, practicing and we're setting clear, smart goals. Because if you don't set goals, if you don't set clear, smart goals, then you won't know, first of all, are you being successful? And then it's a lot more difficult to know where you're heading and where you've been. So SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. That's what SMART, the acronym SMART stands for. So specific. I want to lose weight is not a specific goal. It is a goal, right? I want to lose weight, but it's not specific. I want to lose 10 pounds. That is a specific goal. Measurable. You want to make sure that you're able to tell if you've achieved it. So if you say, I want to lose 10 pounds and you lose 5 pounds, that means you've not achieved the goal. It's a great place to be that you've lost 5 pounds. In fact, do you guys know what, I think I've shown you before the fat model. All right, hold on a second. breaking stuff up. Okay, let me see. Let me put it over here. This is. Let's get that. Yeah, there we go. That, y'all, is 5 pounds. So I have people all the time come in and say, hey, I've only lost 5 pounds. I said, man, you have lost this, right? Or they say, I've only lost 10 pounds. Well, you've lost 2 of those. But back to the goal, is it measurable? Is it measurable? Is it specific, 10 pounds? Is it measurable? Well, 10 pounds is measurable. I can get on the scale and I can say yes or no. Is it achievable? Is it possible to lose 10 pounds? And the answer is yes. Specific, 10 pounds. Measurable, yes, I can get on the scale and I can see what my weight is. Is it achievable? Yes, it is. And is it relevant? Well, what's relevant, right? I want to be healthy. I want to lose weight so I can be healthy. I want to lose weight so I can control my blood sugar. I want to lose weight, right? Is it relevant to what I want to do? And is losing weight relevant to reversing diabetes? Yes, it is. And then is it time bound? Hey, y'all. So I want to lose 10 pounds. It's specific. It's measurable. It's achievable. It's relevant to the health goal that you have. But I want to lose 10 pounds in 50 years. Yeah, that's probably not where we want to be, right? So you want to set yourself up for success by having a time. So I want to, as you remember, when we talked about my journey starting last March, I said I wanted to lose 52 pounds. That's I wanted to lose 1/2 to 1 pound per week for the year. Right, so it's specific, it was measurable, it was certainly achievable, it was relevant to what I wanted, and it was time bound because I gave a specific time. All right, so we're going to come back and we're going to actually do a show together where we sit down and come up with a specific, a smart goal for you. We're going to walk through how do we do that here on the show. Right. So we want to set smart goals, because if we don't set smart goals, then we're not setting ourselves up for success. Right. Awesome. All right. So I see one of our community members hopped in, and so Teresa says, "Hello, Dr. Woode and everyone. Glad that you are here, Teresa. Thank you for coming through. We're talking about how to get back on track. Getting back on track. A lot of people during this time of the year." Are kind of, they've been doing it for a while and they are not quite sure if they are being successful. Maybe they're getting a little tired. Some habits that they had before have kind of crept back in. They've had some stressful events, some changes in schedule. They've had some burnout happen. And, so we're talking tonight about, okay, how do we get back on track? How do we get back on in the saddle? And then, hey, Steve, what's up, man? Hello. He says, hello, Teresa. Thank you guys for coming through. All right. So let's see. There we go. So we're talking about getting back on track. So smart goals, right? So setting smart goals, very important. And after we talk about smart goals, how do we stay motivated and how do we overcome obstacles? How do we stay motivated and overcome obstacles? Well, number one, right, a big part of it is what we just talked about, right? Setting the smart goals. Because if you're setting the smart goals, then you know where you are and you're able to track that. So you want to track your progress. So how do we stay motivated? Track your progress. See where you are. And that's why here, as I talk on the show, I have all these monitors and all these apps because I'm tracking what I'm doing. So when I get up and I look at that blood sugar and I see what it is, I'm like, okay, yeah. So this is helping me stay motivated. And I don't want that blood sugar to change, right? And I'm trying to, for some reason, it won't pick up my phone. But yeah, so we're tracking all that information, right? So we want you to see what it is. I want to see what it is because my brain is not dependent on it, but it actually helps my brain to see the number. When I see the weight, when I check my ketones, right? So I know where I am. When I journal, and we haven't talked much about journaling, but that's a huge one that we'll come back and talk about at another time. So track your progress. And then, y'all, celebrate wins. Celebrate wins. It is a process. And if you wait until you get to the end of the journey to celebrate, that is a very hard process. It's a very hard journey. Okay? So you got to pause. And when you see successes, if you've lost a pound, if your blood sugar, all of a sudden you wake up and the blood sugar is, 5 points lower than it used to be. If you get your A1C and your doctor tells you that your A1C used to be, 8, 9, 10, and all of a sudden it's 9.5. Used to be 10, now it's 9.5. That's a celebration. Right? So don't wait until the A1C gets to 6.5. Celebrate where you are. With the intention of moving forward, though. Okay? So don't just celebrate and stay right where you are. Okay? So celebrate those wins. Identify your triggers. Identify your triggers, y'all. I gotta say, boom. You gotta say that. You got to identify your triggers, because if you don't identify your triggers, then you don't know what's pushing you. And we've talked here quite often about the heat model, right? So heat model is a huge idea about triggers and how triggers affect us, right? So identify the things that are triggering you to get off track, to eat when you're not supposed to, when you said you weren't going to eat, or to do other things that are counterproductive. For example, do you know that staying up late, and I have to put my hand up. You guys know I'm up here. I'm late a lot, right? So that is a huge trigger for eating. I know it. I experience it all the time. And I know it's one of my triggers, and it's of the things that I have, it's probably the one that I need to work on the most. And that's the one that I struggle with. All right, so identify your triggers and find healthier ways to deal with triggers. So if it's an emotion, if it's a habit, if it's access to something, if it's taste. Right. So Teresa, you'll get a kick out of this. I went to the store today, right, to get some stuff, and I picked up a can of cashews. And you guys, if you heard me talk, that's one of my things, right? Notice I didn't get the almonds, because I knew if I get the almonds, by the time I got home, it would be gone. But I did go and I get some cashews. And on the way home, so one serving of cashews, y'all. Did anybody know what one serving of cashews are or is? Yeah, it is. It's 18 pieces is what the can says. 18 pieces. So on the way home, right, I took some and I ate it, and I drove, and I took some more and I ate it, and I drove and I took some more and I ate. So I probably ate like 3 or 4 servings on the way home. So I got home and I said, okay, this has to stay in the car, right? So I can't take it in the house, because guess what? The can's going to be gone. So I know that's one of mine. All right, so identify your triggers and find healthier ways to deal with the triggers, right? In this case, it was an access issue. I probably shouldn't, I shouldn't say I probably. I should not have gotten it when I went to the grocery store. But I got it, and it's access. It's here now. That's not in the house, right? So what do you need to do? And then develop a support network. Yo, 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 yo. That is what we do here, y'all. Remember, we educate, we empower, and we encourage. That support, the support is so important, y'all, because the support helps you when you feel, when you're having challenges, when you're having setbacks, when you're not being as successful, when you've stalled in your process. The network helps you. When you come on and we see you here, when you come to the community meetup, right? That's a huge one, because that helps. Okay. And then after that, what we want to do is I want to talk about some specific strategies to help you overcome common obstacles. So number one, meal planning. And the obstacle that overcomes is that when you get home and you have not planned, you're likely to just grab whatever is available. You're likely to grab the thing that you weren't planning to eat. One of the things that we talked about several weeks ago is that access part of the heat model, and we talked about how to make sure that our environment at home, at work, and in the community. Remember that? Right? Planning, meal planning. Plan your meals. Sit down at the beginning of the week and say, okay, this is what I'm going to eat. This is what I'm not going to eat. This is what we're going to prepare. Get it from the grocery store. Go out shopping. Get all those things together. And we did a 7-day meal plan several weeks ago in the show. If you've not done that yet, go back and watch that. Right? So prepare, because when you prepare, it's much easier to stay in the space. And once again, we're talking about putting diabetes in reversion or reversing diabetes. This works for lots of other diseases, but specifically here, I'm talking about type 2 diabetes, adults with type 2 diabetes. How do we reverse your diabetes? Meal planning. Number two, mindful eating. Mindful eating. So when you sit down to eat, turn off the TV, turn off the computer, turn off the iPhone or Android if you have one, right? And focus on the food. Enjoy the taste, enjoy the flavors, enjoy the crunch, enjoy the texture of the food. You're much more satisfied. Otherwise, what happens is you end up eating, you eat the food, you don't even know the food has gone through. You don't appreciate it. And so your brain goes to try to find something else for you to enjoy. Mindful eating. Physical activity. Physical activity is a huge one. And I gave you the example last week, right? Because I was preparing to go on this trip. And on Tuesday or Wednesday, I was feeling anxious. I was in the process of fasting. And I felt as though my blood sugar was low. And I checked it and it was normal, y'all. So I knew it couldn't be low blood sugar. You know, you get that if you've had low blood sugar, you know, you get that jittery, kind of shaky feeling, right? That's what I felt like. And I was like, no, this can't be hypoglycemia. This is not low blood sugar. Because I got my monitors, I checked it. And so I went and said, okay, this is the cortisol. This is the anxiety. This is the excitement. And so I went walking, and I walked for about 20 minutes and burned through some of that cortisol that had been building up in my system. And that helped me deal with this cortisol that was there. So one of the ways to overcome some of the obstacles, stresses, for example, is physical activity. And then specifically stress management. Learn some stress management techniques, right? Meditation, yoga, a morning routine. All of those things are specific things you can do that will help you manage stress. When I get stressed, there's a place I go, y'all, in my head, St. Simon's Island. If you've never been there, and I have no affiliation with them, but I love this place. My wife and I went there years ago for one of our anniversaries. And when I go there, when I'm stressed, I close my eyes, or sometimes I'm even talking to people, and I imagine, right, driving across the bridge off the coast of Georgia, right between Georgia and Florida there, and driving across that bridge, getting to the island. And it was a nice little small island. When we got there that day, it was raining a little bit, just a little overshadowed, cloudy. And we went into the little cottage place that we stayed, and they had turned down the bed. They got a little mint on the bed. My wife and I went walking down the sidewalk. Right, so even as I'm describing it right now, I can feel, right, the calm coming over me. So find your place. If it's music, that's fine. Sometimes I'll sit, right, when summertime, when there's a tree right outside on the other side of this desk, when that window is open, and I count the leaves on the tree. There's a book that I read called The Power of Now. The Power of Now. And the author was saying that Enjoy the moment. Enjoy this moment. As you're sitting, if you're driving in the car, feel the vibration of the steering wheel in your hand. Enjoy the sensation. When you're in the shower, sometimes I'm in the shower and I need to calm down, or something is going on, a stressful thing on my mind, and I'm there and I can imagine, I'm trying to imagine each of the water drops as they're hitting my body, or I'm trying to count them. Because when I'm counting, my brain can't go to that other place. Play some music in the background. So stress management, all those things are very important. Okay. And then, if you're on medication, make sure that you are being adherent. Make sure you're taking your medication. Now, let me make a point here. A lot of what we do, a lot of what we teach, a lot of what we are saying has with it a component of you've got to adjust your medication. Like some of you who are on right now, right? That we teach, and I talk to my patients, I tell them, this is how I want you to adjust your medication. I teach that because you cannot be at home and be incorporating the things that we're talking about and not adjust medications. So make sure you're talking to your healthcare provider about adjusting your medication. How many times did I say that? Enough? Okay, good. Having said that, make sure you're taking it. Often I have people come in and I'll say to them, we're going to titrate your medication down because as you begin incorporating fasting, mindful eating, emotional intelligence, finding out your why, dealing with your stress, sleeping, drinking water, physical activity, all those things, your blood sugar is going to start coming down. So we're going to have to begin titrating your medication down. And so they go home and all they heard was stop medication. That's not what I said. Right? What I said is we need to begin adjusting your medication down based on what you're doing. So you can't just stop it and then say, okay, when this improves, I won't be on medication. No, the medication decreases as you make changes that cause your blood sugars to improve unto the point where you don't have to take medication again. Right? I see actually someone that's in our audience right now who we were so excited last week when he said, hey, I'm off the insulin. I had somebody who came to the office today, called to come in for an early visit because he was on an insulin pump and was able to get off the pump and now is having low blood sugars. So came in so that we can adjust medication further. Can you imagine being on an insulin pump, taking the insulin, and then now saying, okay, I don't have to do that anymore? All right. And then regular monitoring. That's why I do all the things that I do here on the channel in terms of looking at my monitors, looking at the graphs so that you guys can see all of that. And then the support network, once again, there it is, y'all. If you want to go somewhere, go by yourself. But if you want to go far and want to be successful, take other people with you. The support network is so important. And I love our network. I love our support here on the channel and in our community. And then what's another strategy to overcome common obstacles? Always be learning, continuous learning. That's what I teach, right? So that is the pillar of the platform, the show. The pillar of getting off of insulin, reversing diabetes are those things, right? So number 1, decrease insulin. Number 2, right, suppress appetite. Number 3, get rid of sugar. But the pillar of the platform that I am on, the pillar of the platform that I'm here teaching and I want you to get is education, empowerment, and encouragement. Get data, get information, continuously learn. Always be in the mindset of learning, because the more you know, the more you can then make decisions. Always be learning. Always be learning. All right, let's see what we got. So Steve said hello, Teresa. Teresa says, hi, Steve. Congratulations on your achievements. Definitely. Steve. Steve says, I'm still on target. I just finished a 24-hour fast. There we go. My man Steve. I love it, love it, love it. And Teresa, I think you're laughing at the cashews, right? I know. And then Teresa says, I appreciate our support network. Yes, our network. I love the community that we are in. So I'm very glad that you're in this space. And we'll talk a little bit here in just a minute about our next community meetup that's going to happen. Okay. All right. So y'all, that's what we do. That's how we do what we do when we do. Let's hop over and let's take a look at my my monitor. Well, not my monitor because I can't get that up for some reason. I'll probably reboot that here. But in the meantime, we can take a look at my report. So let's do that right now. Let's do this one. Yeah. Okay. So here is my Dexcom, and this is for the last 14 days, April 23rd to May 6th, which is today. Let's go ahead and we're just going to set that up for 90 days. So we can see what my average blood sugar has been over the last 90 days. And while that's doing, let's see if I can grab another one of these cables. So I can get my monitor to come up. Okay. So, but anyway, you see there on the screen, that is what my average blood sugar has been for the last 90 days, 114. You'll see that it says that my glucose management indicator is 6, right? And we've talked about that before, because when I went to my doc, my A1C was 6.1. My time in range is 95%. The range here is 70 to 180. But of course, I tell you, if you're one of my patients, you know that the range just is a safety issue, 70 to 180. But I tell people I want their blood sugars to be closer to about 120 to 125. Because if we're going to get an A1C of 6.5, you can't have a blood sugar of 180 because that's the top of the range. That's considered in the normal range, but it's not an A1C of 6.5. Okay? All right. And then let's scroll down and let's actually take a look at the daily graphs so that we can see what's been going on over the last several days with me. All right. So we ended our fast on Friday night. And if you remember, I did, as I got on the road, we did end the fast. It took us about 3.5 hours maybe to get there. And so I ate on the way, or right at that time, and you'll see there my blood sugars began climbing. So I ended right here, 70s, 90s, right? Got to a little bit over 100 by midnight. And then that next morning, right, in the 100s, we did have a low here. You see that? Right. So even after I had eaten, right, after I fasted, look at that. And then for the rest of that day, kind of climbed up. And so we had lunch over at the church that we were at. They had a program. And look at that. We stayed in the 130s, 140s, popped up to 153 right there. And then at one point, actually right here, got up to about 170. And I'm trying to think of what I had there. And I can't remember what it was. But that was Saturday. So that's a day after ended the fast. And then on Sunday morning, right in the 150s, I got up to about 160, I think, right there. Into that morning. And there's that one spiked up to 190. And then started coming back down. And then right here was, went out to dinner with my wife. And actually, I do want to try to see if I can show you my phone because I have those pictures of what I ate. Okay, let's see if that comes up now. Let's go back over here. And okay, for some reason, there we go. Try again, right? If at first you don't succeed, keep going. All right, so let's come over here. So first, let's take a look at the actual reading. So that's my blood sugar right now. All right, so 111, and that's according to the Libre. And then if I go over and get my Dexcom, let's see, continue the app. Let's take a minute to pull up. But that's that right there. And then let me pop out of here for a second because I want to pull up a picture, a couple of pictures so you guys can see. All right, so this is me at the restaurant. And so that's the menu right there. And let's see. Okay, so this is what I had. So I had, this is a Caesar salad with salmon, blackened salmon. Doesn't it look good? And croutons. Now, y'all, I'm gonna say, let me say this. I tried, right? So I did not eat all the croutons. I left 1, 2, 3, 5. I left 6 of them, right? But they were so good. It was so good, right? But I was full actually because I had also. So that's that. That's I checked my blood sugar before, right as I was starting to eat. So it was 80, 87. So I had some chili, and of course I started eating the chili before I took a picture. So that's why you don't see a full bowl. And of course I had water to drink. I usually get like a Diet Coke or something when I go out, but all right. So that is so that is what resulted. And let me go back over here. So if we look at Sunday, so that was right here as we were eating. And so that resulted in these numbers right here. So 130s, 140s, 150s. And then, of course, coming into today, right, so we've been hanging out in the 120s. 130s, 130s, 120s, 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 120s. And y'all, I don't think I've said this recently. So it's been about 2 months since I've had any medication. Yo-ho! Right? So about 2 months, actually a little over 2 months, because I think I mentioned, Teresa, do you remember, or was it Jennifer, when I mentioned that the Manjaro we couldn't get it? Right, so we run into the same issues that you run into, can't get it, right? And so I've been off of that. And so these numbers that you're seeing are a result or are on nothing, right? This is just fasting. Right? Isn't that amazing? I love that. I had a guy come to the office today and he said he does his fasting twice a month, right? So 24 hours a day, twice a month. And he's been able to drop his medication, I think he's gotten off one medication and he's in the process of titrating down another, right? So that is amazing to me. I love hearing that and seeing that. So, but anyway, y'all, that's what's been going on. That's what's been going on with all of the numbers. And okay, you still see let me change that one. Okay, there you go. No, I'll put the food up. Okay, because I like, you guys like the food. There we go. But if you want to see blood sugars, let's do blood sugars. How about that? There we go. All right. Yeah. So this I like this scene because I was trying to think of something I can do that had a representation of all the stuff that we're doing tonight. Okay, and there it is right there. All right. Oh wow. Oh wow. Let me pop this over here. So let's go back over here. And so Teresa is saying, great job, Doctor. Oh, no. Let's start over here. So she says, yes, cashews. And Steve said, I had cashews on my fast ending dish last. Okay. All right. Tonight. And Teresa said, great job, Doc. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then she said, what an encouragement. And then Steve said, I dropped metformin last week. Steve, my man. Love it. Y'all, that's what I'm talking about right there. Okay? So progress. So progress. Notice that Steve didn't say he dropped insulin and metformin and all that stuff back then. It was a process. Remember, I mentioned to you guys that in September of last year, I stopped the insulin went away, and then we've kind of gone through the process of dropping. Now, this last one dropped because of circumstances, right? So it was the pharmacy didn't have it, and so one of the questions that I'm going to ask you guys, and actually I was planning to do a show, which I still may do, and the question is, should I restart Manjaro? Right? Should I restart Manjaro? Because the pharmacy finally called and said, hey, we got it now. So that's a whole nother conversation. All right. Anyway, guys, so this is a great place for us to do our thought of the day. So let's hop over and do that right now. And our thought of the day is this. Every day there are obstacles that come up. Every day there are challenges that come up. But every day also there are successes. There are obstacles, there are challenges, and there are successes. What are you focusing on? Because you have a choice. You can focus on the challenges. You can focus on the fact that this seems an arduous task. This seems like something I can't do. Man, every time I try something, something comes up. I can't get ahead. You could focus on that. But guess what? You couldn't change those things. And those things are happening. What you could change is how you respond. You can change to think about and to look at and to appreciate the successes that you're having, because each success builds on another. The current success built on the success that you had before, and the success that's coming is built on the success that you're currently going through. And so each time you have a success, jot that down. Take that and tuck it away. Put it in your jewel box. Put it in your safe, because that's a success that you can look back on and say, look at what happened. Look at what has happened. Look at what my blood sugars are. Look at the medication I've gotten off of. Look at the weight that I've lost. Look at the blood pressure that has improved. The cholesterol, the fatty liver has decreased. Each day has successes. Each day has challenges. Each day has obstacles. And the question for you is, what are you focused on? And that is our thought for today. All right, y'all. I'm so stoked. I'm so excited. I am so geeked to be here in this space with you for our community. We will be having our next community meetup. We'll be having our next community meetup coming up this month on May the 23rd. May the 23rd, right, at 7 p.m. Make sure that you are here. May the 23rd at 7 p.m. We'll have that link coming out again for you to sign up. We're actually, I think, hopefully this month we'll have the platform and we'll describe more about that later on. Okay. So our challenge for this month, y'all, is for you to invite someone on the journey with you. And I'm not talking about just saying to them, hey, you should do this. I'm talking about actively working to invite someone on the journey that is connected with you. When I say connected, that they are in the process and you guys are doing it together and you're holding each other accountable. So I don't want someone that you talk to and they said, yes, they're going to do it. And then 5 months later, hey, you never did that thing. No. All right. Remember what we're doing. We are building a community. So I want you to find someone, a friend, a cousin, a mama, a sister, a daughter, uncle, a grandmama, right? A coworker, a teacher, a physician, someone that you're going to say, hey, this is what I'm doing in terms of being healthy, and I'd like you to come along with me and actively work to get them moving in that direction with you. Remember what we do. We educate, we empower, we encourage, right? The encouragement is a huge part of what we do. So that's your challenge for this month, is to find someone that needs this information and invite them and mentor them. Okay, that's the word I want to use. I want you to mentor someone in this process along with you. We've been going through this now. It's going to be 5. This is our 5th month. Right? It's a great place for them to jump in because we just did this getting back on track. It's a great place as we launch into the rest of into this next quarter. This is a great place for them to attach and come on and join the community. All right. All right. Well, always, y'all. I say I cannot appreciate it. I can't say I cannot say how much I appreciate you being here and spending some time as we walk through this together, as we all get healthy. If you are out there right now and you're thinking to yourself, man, they're just talking about diabetes. They're just talking about blood sugar. They're just talking about insulin. I want you to know that it's not just about diabetes. Now, we're talking to diabetics, adults with type 2 diabetes who want to put their diabetes in remission. That's what we're doing. But all the things that we talk about will also improve the metabolic milieu, the metabolic diseases, the associated things that a lot of people find themselves in. Prediabetes, a huge one. Right now on the planet, there are over 1 billion people that have diabetes and prediabetes, about half and half split. Well, actually, it's a little bit more prediabetes, right? So the diabetics of 430 to 460 million. And the rest are pre-diabetic. So over 1 billion people on the planet. And all of those who are suffering from metabolic disease, not type 1s, we're talking about type 2s, they can have improvement in their disease process. If you have fatty liver, non-alcoholic fatty liver, if you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, polycystic ovarian syndrome, obesity, if you struggle with obesity and being overweight, this will help you as well. So just because you're not diabetic doesn't mean that this is not for you. Okay. Here on the platform, as I always say, our platform is built on education, empowerment, and encouragement. Education, all the shows, the website, the blog, the podcast, all of that is with the information and with the idea of giving information and providing you a place where you can learn. Remember, continuous learning is one of the pillars or one of the things that we said on how we can overcome obstacles. Continuous learning. That's what we do here on the show. Education, empowerment, the tools that we're learning, right? How to get back on track. That's a tool. How to fast. That's a tool. Emotional intelligence. That's a tool. The 5 whys. That's a tool. How to titrate your medication. How to have a conversation with your doctor. Which medication should you be on? Which one should you stop? All of those are tools that you can use to put into practice. Okay? How to create a 7-day menu. Love it. All of those are tools. So we educate, we empower by providing tools, and we encourage by the community. You are part of the community. Your story encourages, your challenges makes people know that they're not by themselves. And then the heat model, the things that push us in a direction to break our fast, to interrupt our fast, to get off track, right? So habits, emotions, access and taste, triggers for food, the habits that we formed, the emotions that drive us, being sad, being depressed, lonely, tired, frustrated, all of those are things that will push us to eat. And then, of course, access, like I talked about with my nuts that are in the car, the cashews. And then taste, the right amount of sugar, right amount of salt, and right amount of carbohydrates or fat. Those are things that push us. And then our call to action. Number one, join the challenge. Join the challenge. Each month we have a challenge. You heard the one for tonight. It is to mentor someone in this process. Invite somebody to go along with you and mentor them as they move through this process with you. Okay? Bring them on the show. Number two, let us know what you're going, what's happening in your world, right? Share your story. When you share your story, we know that we can do it. Like Steve said, right? He just finished a 24-hour fast. He's off of his metformin. All of those are stories that we want to hear. When you have challenges, we want to hear your challenge. So don't just share with us the successes. Let us know where are some points of struggle so that we can rally around you and rally around each other. And then the final point speaks to our challenge for this month. Invite a friend, invite a family member, invite someone to be in this space with you. You can be the voice to improve your community. You can be the voice to change your family. You can be the voice to change your job situation. The people there who may be suffering from metabolic diseases, you can be the voice of change. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out with me. And we will see you later on this month, actually later this week, as we begin our next fast and we do a check-in with you. Good night. This is Dr. Dwain Woode, as always. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health in your life. Avoid complications and go to the next level. And in this year, y'all, new year, new you. Good night. Have a great one.